All right, we're back and we're ready for our next program specialist. And his name is Jerry Moffett with Do Art Productions Comic Book Workshop. Let's give him a huge round of applause.
Hello, so my name is Jerry Moffett. First, I would like to express my gratitude for the Iowa Performer Showcase, for coordinating such an event, and for inviting us. This is awesome for the Iowa communities, as well as for the performers that do what we do. We actually get to connect with all you librarians, and sometimes it's nice when you're all in the same room and we don't have to travel. So my name is Jerry Moffett, and I'm part of an art group called Do Art Productions, and we aim to spread the benefit that creativity can have on all of us as individuals, as well as a community. We do this through our workshops, through a variety of workshops, whether it's acting, poetry, painting, and of course, our comic book workshop. At Do Art Productions, we don't think that art is simply just a hobby, but as much as a necessary interaction with the world to find our place in it. And so whether it be the comic book workshop or the Do Art workshop, we always kind of start with trying to be as interactive as possible. So with the kids, we always like to start by talking about inspiration. For instance, can I ask, does anybody know what inspiration is? So inspiration always tends to be both something inside and outside of us. Inspiration can be an image or a flower that we want to capture, but we like to stress, especially with kids, that inspiration can be within us. It can be like an emotion of happiness, or it can be sadness, or it can be simply that you just want to express who it is that you are, and you can use creativity to kind of find that. For me personally, the biggest benefit that I get from creativity is like that feeling that you can have gratitude in being you, right? So you can express your uniqueness. Again, at our workshops, we stress that we're all unique, we're all slightly different, or maybe largely different. And no matter if we live in the same town, or we live in the same house, or we go to the same library, or go to the same school, we all have this uniqueness that sometimes can be isolating, but at other times it can give us the source for all of our creativity. So through creativity, we can express our uniqueness, we can express the emotions we feel, we can express our personal perspective, and we can express our values. So we always try to show that to find your inspiration, especially with kids, that not necessarily look outside of us, but look within us. So as we do with inspiration, we kind of like to stir up some electricity in the room a little bit and do like a group positive affirmation chant. So if you guys can all repeat after me: I am amazing. I am creative. I am an artist. Now, when I say do, can you say art? Do, do, do. There we go. Now, everybody clap as loud as you can real quick. So after we have generated some inspiration, and not only has it loosened up, the participants, but it's loosened up me a little bit, we can kind of dive into our first drawing exercises. So at our comic book workshop, which is our most requested workshop, it just allows us to kind of dive through, or allows us to incorporate a variety of different art forms. So with comic booking, of course, is a visual media, but at the same time, it has dialogue, and you got to put in, your story as well. So we utilize comic booking to kind of bring in those other art forms, but we also do these other art forms as well. So at the comic book workshop, I always start with a quick, simple drawing exercise. And with a lot of the kids, and I see a lot of you have papers and pens now, not that you have to draw, but we stress that you draw me as wacky as possible. So even when it's the kids, it's not that you're trying to get me as a perfect anatomy, but as to draw a stick figure. And we like to stress that there is no such thing as good or bad art, that all art, even a stick figure, is a form of expression of your personal, whether it be creativity or whether it be your image. And while we do this, I always incorporate the guitar. So it's one of those things that kind of continue bringing the different creative processes together, whether it be comic booking, I like to bring in some music. So usually in this case, for those who are brave enough and are drawing a stick figure of me right now, I like to kind of play the guitar. We play it, whether it be serenading with solo, or if it's like making up a song on the spot. I like to say, if you put anything in the speech bubble, no matter how wacky it is, I will come by and sing whatever it is that you put in that speech bubble. Of course, you get a variety of very creative ideas from kids. And probably the most common verse that I sing is, I like Toro Tacos. I like Toro Tacos, or any variety of it. I'm a little princess, all of these different things, because we encourage them to whether it be fun at my expense, but to kind of bring that creativity out. And sometimes when you're working with a more wacky feeling, more cartoony feeling, you're a little looser in what you're trying to express. You're maybe not trying to get me so rigidly anatomy, but you can add some Bugs Bunny ears to me or whatnot. So after we've kind of moved on from warming up about just kind of getting your finger or your wrist loose, getting your pencil loose on the page, after you get some drawing, we're able to kind of dive a little bit more into the creative lessons of the workshop. So this is a good one where we start by focusing on the eyes. Because when it comes to cartooning or comic booking, the eyes are the engine of everything. When you turn a page of a comic book, you look where the eyes are. When you watch a cartoon, you always see these very emotionally expressive eyes, whether it's Bugs Bunny, Scooby-Doo, insert favorite cartoon here. So we'll run through like a very quick aspect to see just how with a few lines, we can get all the emotions of the eyes that we kind of need for whether it be drawing. So I'll run through some really basic ones here, and it's just to kind of get the idea of the emotions that we can kind of get. So it's something as simple as this, forgive me for rushing it, but something as simple as this, these are basic eyes. And what we'll see with kids is they always like to call them Powerpuff Girls eyes, or something along the lines that they can relate to. What I do is I'll ask what type of emotion you can see with these eyes. Of course, you'll get a variety from happiness to sad to freaked out. But what we like to show is, for instance, with these eyes, they're regular eyes that are kind of go with the mouth. So I'll do like a quick pop quiz where it'd be like, this is happy. And we can kind of joke through, this is sad. But with these eyes, they're very suggestive of whatever the other attributes are. Now, with just a simple line, we can turn these eyes into a more expressive eye. So one of these situations is just through one line coming right through the middle, we can kind of get a different expression through the eyelids. Now, again, these ones are more exaggerated eyes, so depending on what you put with the mouth, again, pop quiz, exaggeratedly happy.
Sad.
Okay, here's a curveball.
Morose.
Exaggeratedly morose. It's one of the ones I get is meh all the time, or it's super meh. But it's just an example of trying to see what we can accomplish with simple lines. Because when you're an artist, sometimes just showing the different emotions of the eyes is very eye-opening to what you can kind of produce with your creativity. Now, one last one. I know we're all going to get it. That's why I'm going to do it really fast. Kids love it. They may see it from, teachers, whoever it is, or parents, but we got angry eyes. And one of the highlights is more angled, the more angry. Evil, look at that. You even have to finish, and I heard someone coming out. Now, of course, this is a very common response to this. We get evil all the time, but it's just an example of how we can mix and match something that's so obvious as a smile, but with angry eyes, and we can kind of combine these different emotions. Now, a lot of the times we don't necessarily get evil, we can kind of get determined, we got to get concentrated. And in this section, one we highlight is to try to get those creative responses from the kids, not to only see creativity in the images, but to see creativity in the emotions that they want to produce. Now, I'm sure that some of you that I didn't necessarily see when I make some of these eyes, your face naturally wants to make these faces. And that's what we kind of get with the kids, is that you can start to trying to translate your personal emotions and faces to the page. One last thing that we do with the eyes real quick, and this is just to kind of lean a little bit more into the cartooniness and the wackiness that I was explaining earlier, is that I'm always using the word wacky. I'll ask again a little bit later and see who remembers, but I'm always trying to press that so we can kind of get out of that box again of being so strict with our drawing. We don't need to draw like exactly what it looks like. We want to get cartoony. In a certain workshop, we do have a limited time in most cases, so we're trying to just get as much drawing done and having a shared creative experience. So it's not necessarily, let's sit here for an hour and draw this as detailed as possible, but we want to be able to share our drawings with other people. We want to be able to show our creativity as well. So we're just trying to move through them at a little pace. One of the ways to do this will be utilizing some more cartoony eyes, of course. Now, what's a symbol I could put in an eye that would represent an emotion?
Hearts.
Hearts. What emotion would a heart be? Love. So this is a perfect example of trying to build upon a symbol and not necessarily, the regular pupils and so forth. Now, this means love and this means romance. Is this the right heart? So this isn't the usually right heart. We want a symbol. And again, what this does is it allows me to stress to the kids that you can use symbols in your creativity. We can put other things in the eyes. We don't need just these pupils, and this will allow us to be more expressive with whatever we're trying to create. Now, I'm not sure exactly what emotion this one is. Of course, it could be a heart surgeon. It could be someone who's got their heart racing. I'm not sure. But one of the things that's very fun with kids is to kind of see them build that equation for themselves. Now they're starting to think, well, what emotion does that symbol mean? Now, of course, you've seen stars. Of course, we've seen X's. And there's these different symbols that have connotative meaning. And what that allows them is, again, to see that wackiness, to see that looseness, that you can draw the eye real quick, maybe put tears in it, lightning strikes. It goes on, and especially when you open up that door for kids, the creativity goes through the roof. Now, after we kind of gone through these lessons, the eyes like that with the emotions, I like to let them draw me again as wacky as possible while I turn or draw a character that I believe we all know. And then as a team, we turn into the wackiest version of that cartoon we've ever seen. Now, in this situation right now, all of you guys would be drawing me as wacky as possible and then being able to show what we've kind of just learned, as well as through our different creativity. I kind of got, while I'm drawing, you might get a little art show yourself. There we go. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? There we go. I love it. I would finish the song if we had all the time. But it's a perfect example of where I'm able to draw a character that is really relatable to the audience, and they can kind of, it gives them one more step more of being involved. Now, again, forgive me for rushing through Plankton. I'm sure he's done better jobs than this. But one of the examples that we'll do here now is after they draw me as wacky as possible, I'll go through and I give little responses to each of their drawings to kind of build that participation. And a lot of our workshops is we want to stress that one-on-one personal interaction. We're trying to build the confidence of the artist. And they really like it when, for instance, they get to see me draw and they get to see me playing the guitar. And now I'm coming to them expressing, what I see in their artwork, what I see that's very creative. And that's kind of like the key of our interaction with the audience. One of the ones that builds off of here, for instance, I would take suggestions. What can I add to Plankton to make him the wackiest version that we've ever seen? A truism that I like to add here is that eye patches make every drawing better. And we used to like to, especially facial attributes and stuff like that, stuff that don't have to change the whole thing. So, for instance, we might give him a little mustache, give him a little Bob Ross fro, if we're doing art, we might as well incorporate art. And then, why not give him an eye patch? He only has one eye, but we're not here to worry about the plot. Now, this is a quick example. Of course, I usually take many more different attributes and we build and we build and we build. And the kids love to be able to see that transformation because it shows you not only can you just take a regular thing and build upon it, but again, we're having fun as a group. We're having fun throwing out creative ideas. We're building that team camaraderie. So after doing this, we'll move much more into, like with every one of these lessons, you can kind of start to see that as a group, we start in a workshop, we're building more and more as a group where everybody's getting more and more comfortable. They're seeing me draw. Now they're starting to get eager to draw more on the whiteboard. So from here, especially with comics, they're a very action-based workshop or action-based art. So, you have your action scenes, the dynamic action poses, whether it be Batman doing kapow or insert here. So we like to utilize an action pose drawing portion where we can kind of build our own little scenes, but yeah, you can kind of see me in poses as well as the kids can kind of build off of that fun. So with here, we always stress with animals. Animals are very shape-based worthy. And then I'll take a suggestion of an animal. And then for instance, I didn't know what an axolotl was earlier this year. Axolotl is the #1 suggestion all the time. So right here, we'll get a variety of things. So we might see a giraffe doing a headstand, or we'll see pandas juggling. So we try to incorporate different skills as well in our own stuff to kind of show them to keep that engagement up. Or, you might see an axolotl. One of the things that we like to do is keep these skills forward so we can kind of show that it gives them more of an inspiration to draw this. So now you might have an axolotl on a unicycle or juggling or insert whatever it is. So with the pose drawing, we just want them to be able to see these different action poses that they can kind of build their characters off of, as well as see confidence in me performing in front of them. One of the things that's really rewarding about these workshops is that in one workshop, I got a response back from a kid who was like, when I grow up, I want to be as expressive with you as you are. And I think that it's mostly because we're doing the comics, we're doing the guitar, we're doing the juggling, and we're doing the unicycle all in one.
That's time.
So at all of our workshops, we try to aim at just bringing the confidence of the kids as well, elevate it as a group and as an individual. And we've always had a success of making the shyest kid participate as confident as the most confident kid.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.